Kamala Harris is on a roll. Pumps, what you got?
Well, as everyone in the universe knows, Kamala Harris went into the belly of the beast, Fox News. And despite Bret Baier's best efforts to talk over her and only do Fox talking points, she slayed it. She was presidential. She was strong. She put up with zero bullshit. In particular, I want to show this clip of how she handled the massive amount of disinformation thrown at her last night.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you,
that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
I mean, Z formation totally defended herself. But what's more important here is she's defending the truth.
That's right.
Donald Trump goes around and says the things that Kamala Harris says, and we can hear it from his voice where he says there's an enemy from within. He wants to use the military to weed out the enemy from within, the radical leftists, people who disagree with him, the media, all of this anti-democratic, anti-constitutional rhetoric. Trump has an entire media echo chamber that covers for him, that will let him clean up his mess anytime. And this guy lies at will. Anytime a question's asked, he's going to lie. And I'm so happy. The American people need to see somebody speak about the truth, because we all know what he says. We've all heard what he says. We all see the mockery he has made of the rule of law, of just honesty.
Right.
He doesn't even try to spin. He flat out lies 24/7, 365. And when he's not lying, he's going full-blown Nazi.
Right.
Or he's rambling and dancing to music for 39 minutes on stage because he can't pull it together long enough. Or he's sitting there talking about how aggrieved he is. That's his playbook.
Right.
It is not leadership. It is a crazy person that is emboldened by all of these other crazy people that want to look the other way. And good on Kamala for calling Fox News out. I want to see Donald Trump go on MSNBC. Oh. Go do it. Go sit there and be accountable. We saw what happened when he sat with the National Association of Black Journalists. He can't handle it. He does not have the balls to sit and have an honest conversation. And that should tell everybody everything they need to know before we even talk about that he's a convicted felon, attempted a coup, and we could go on and on and on.
What I think is interesting, there's several points, but number one, it showed me Fox viewers are not getting what he says. They're getting a watered down version of his cleanup crew mess because they're just constantly saying washing. And I thought to myself, that is probably the first time that Fox viewers who are said to be very pro-military, Republicans in history have been very pro-foreign policy. That is probably the first time that they've heard that Mark Milley has said, Donald Trump is a threat to the United States of America.
Fascist.
He is a fascist. They probably didn't know that. So good on her. It's embarrassing for Brett Bart, but here's the deal. Everything they do over there at Fox is embarrassing.
Yeah.
So I'm not, he didn't cover himself with glory, but he never does. He just continues. These alpha men continue to debase themselves for this man. So another point that she made was about being a prosecutor on immigration. And pretty much the whole interview was on immigration. He wouldn't let her speak, but she did make some points. And I thought this was an important point that the Fox viewers have probably only heard for the first time.
Let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally. And I will do that work as vice president. I take that work quite seriously.
You know, I think that it's important that she said that because a lot of people don't realize how serious prosecutors are about prosecuting crimes. You're an attorney. My husband's a criminal defense attorney. You used to work with him. And prosecutors are no-nonsense law and order people. And that was her career up until she was a senator. She fought crime and she fought for victims of violent crimes. And so I'm so glad that she pointed that out. But before we jump to break, I have to read something to you. This came out a couple days ago. Kamala is getting really good at trolling Trump.
Yes.
She released her medical records. Trump has never released his medical records. And if he does, it's by that alcoholic doctor of his, Ronnie Jackson.
Dr. Feelgood.
Who says that he's the healthiest president ever, healthier than Obama, and all this other gaslighting bullshit. I just thought this was kind of interesting. Trump goes on to Truth Social and he says, as to her completely desperate request for my medical statements, she is dying to see my cholesterol, which is 180. I have already provided them many times, including quite recently, and they were flawless. However, I have just seen Kamala's report, and it is not good. According to her doctor's report, she suffers from urticaria, defined as a rash of round red welts on the skin that itch intensely, sometimes with dangerous swelling. She also has allergic rhinitis and allergic conjunctivitis, a very messy and dangerous situation. These are deeply serious conditions that clearly impact her functioning. And I just want you guys to know what they're talking about are eczema and seasonal allergies. All right, now let's listen to our sponsor and we'll be back to dissect this. Pumps, I love my handheld metabolic coach by Lumen.
My favorite thing about it is it can tell me what my body's using, like carbs or fat.
All you have to do, listener, is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Everybody needs to understand that your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into the fuel that keeps you going. Lumen even gives you recommendations to improve your metabolic health. It can also track your cycle as well as the onset of menopause and adjust your recommendations to keep your metabolism healthy through normal hormonal shifts so you can keep your energy and stave off cravings. So, if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/IHIP to get 15% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/IHIP for 15% off your purchase. We'd like to thank Lumen for sponsoring this episode. Okay, are you just dying to see Trump's cholesterol? You think Kamala Harris, who's out there sharp as a tack, trolling the F out of him, left, right, up, down, sideways, and back to center, is just over there chomping at the bit, dying to see Donald Trump's cholesterol?
Here's the deal. Everybody knows, just a casual observation, if you just look at one thing, 39 minutes of swaying on stage can tell you something is not right with him cognitively. And he keeps saying, oh, I passed a cognitive test. Okay, where is it?
I think because he's confessing here about his cholesterol,
Right.
he always lets the truth kind of seep out. Nobody's been talking about his cholesterol.
No.
His cholesterol's through the roof. He just self-owned.
Look at his fat ass. I mean, his girth tells you his cholesterol's through the roof. I don't need a blood test in that regard. Here's what I think the medical records say. First of all, he's diminished, obviously. I also think there's just a long list of erectile dysfunction medicine on those records. He doesn't want anybody to know because he's a strong guy.
Right.
But, here's the deal. I could listen to you do dramatic reading of his Truth Social all day long because it's fucking crazier than anything I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he's a fucking nut. And I just want to say, he doesn't ever release medical records. That's a lie. Never has, never will. Never released tax returns. And we all know why now, because he's been found guilty of fraud.
And he doesn't pay taxes.
And he doesn't pay taxes. So he's hiding something, which everybody knows. But to pivot slightly, so in one of the many Trump doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about moments, we had him asked about bringing the cost of goods down. And I just want everybody to hear what his answer was, because I found it spectacular.
We're going to get the prices down. We can't just leave them up there because it's going to take too long for people to catch up. That's why I did the social.
We have to like reset.
No,
I don't know how you reset to prices that are 4
You can
times
get the
what you
prices
had.
down.
So let me ask you,
by the way, energy brings everything down.
How does it trickle down? Does it work that the energy is also cheaper for the companies, and so that the distribution? How does the pricing actually happen? Because the interest rates have come down and inflation rate has come down. But it's like we are going uphill constantly with these prices.
But interest hasn't come down very much, and you can't get the money. Look, it really happens if you make donuts. You have the stoves, you have the dish. Everything is evolved around energy.
Did you see how she was trying to lead him?
Right.
Ask him a leading question, how much cover they try to provide for him? Because at the end of the day, the man has no policies.
None.
His policy is, I'm the greatest, I'm the healthiest, I'm the most athletic, I am the most persecuted person that's ever lived on the face of the planet. Yes, and I just want to point out something that's really been going viral all over the internet. This man, if he wants to wear makeup, swing for the fences. Right. Nobody gives a shit. Do some blending. Right. Blend in over here with the face and the hairline. Have the decency. You're on camera all the time. You're trotting out your crazy ass tour 24/7, 365, the Hannibal Lecter crazy show. Have somebody do your makeup, right? For God's sake.
I completely agree. And here's what I think. I don't think there's, and we've talked about this, and because I've asked you point blank, why does no one tell him to blend his makeup? Because nobody can tell him anything. He has to be the smartest. He has to know everything. He has to do everything has to be his idea. So he does not allow anybody to even say, let's blend your makeup. So how's he going to make policy decisions?
Imagine this. Imagine being so arrogant and surrounded by so many people that are so codependent with all of your dysfunctions that he's been saying for years now about this upcoming election. I'm either going to win it and it's going to be fair, or they're going to cheat and I'm going to lose. If your child said that if you were driving them to a basketball game, we're either going to win or the refs are going to throw the game or the other team's going to cheat. I would say, grow up. You have no interest being in sports. That's the heartbreaker of sports. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Be a good sport. Imagine having that level of arrogance that you could just walk out all the time and already say that if the election results are not in his favor, that everybody cheated.
Everything.
And then everybody tells him that because he hangs out with nuts like the MyPillow guy.
Right. But bottom feeders, he's their lifeline. They're just buffoons that have like good jobs working for him. But what's interesting about all that is we know that Jack Smith, in his filing in the January 6th case, it is strategic for him to say they cheated if I lose. That's part of the plan to undermine democracy. But on that note, bringing up the court cases, this is something I found last night, and I busted out laughing. Like, this cannot be fucking happening. So Rachel Maddow, Queen, came on and has documented proof that this summer, 2020-24. Now, let me remind everyone, Stormy Daniels, porn star, Trump had sex with, he tried to pay her off, he interfered with the election, 34 felony counts. That motherfucker was trying to buy her off this summer to stop talking about him. It's unbelievable how terrible they are at politics. Play the clip.
I don't know why I am surprised that this is happening. I will admit to being a little bit bewildered by it, as well as a little bit shocked by it, even though none of us should be shocked by anything. But let me lay it out for you. So, as you mentioned, and as we all know, Trump was convicted earlier this year, 34 felonies, after he paid Stormy Daniels to be quiet. He paid her 11 days before the 2016 election to not talk about her, which she described as her unpleasant experience having sex with him. He paid her so voters would not know about that when they went to vote in 2016. Well, now we have just learned, we have reported out, 20 days, here it is, 20 days before this election, we can report that he is once again trying to pay Stormy Daniels to be quiet ahead of this next election. Here's how we came back.
Did you hear like the other people on the set kind of bust out laughing? Okay, what is that? Is that like a dementia thing, or like that he's like lost all concept of time? I mean, what is that? I mean, that 34 felony counts. He is a convicted felon for this. What is that?
He did it again. I don't know if it's bad lawyering.
Because, well, I mean, he's clearly surrounded by the worst people. You know how everything Trump says is an own. Right. I'm surrounded by the best people. Right. Because he knows deep down they are awful.
They're bottom feeders.
He knows. I mean, I'll never get over. And you and I talk about this all the time. And it just kind of happened, and then nobody ever talks about it again. But I will never get over watching the final days of the Trump presidency. And Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, drove to the White House every day, an infomercial guy that makes pillows and hugs the pillows on camera. He drove to the Oval Office every single day and had a chair at the Resolute desk while they tried to sit there and rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic together. So, I mean, you've got it. We've said it once and we'll say it again. With Donald Trump, it is trickle-down incompetence.
Absolutely.
Trickle-down gaslighting, trickle-down lying, trickle-down bad makeup. It's just
all of it.
It's just the worst of the worst that the world has to offer.
Absolutely. And it's just, when you're talking about Mike Lindell at the White House, let us not forget Four Seasons Total Landscaping. It's just a basket of dipshits. He is the leader of the dipshit clown car, and trying to buy Stormy Daniels' silence again. It's just par for the course.
It is. All right. Please advocate for common sense gun laws, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
It's so